I'll begin with the question which has been framed for this session. Why will the Electricity Act continue to fail to deliver to the consumer? So the framing of the question is more like, have you stopped beating your wife? You can't give yes or no as an answer. Perhaps, as a few speakers have already said, the question has been framed with a view to provoke. Let me try to handle it as objectively as I can. First, through a narrow interpretation of delivering to the consumer, which is how our chairman, Dr. Pramod Dev, started this session. As a narrow interpretation, yes, what is it that the Electricity Act provides directly in terms of consumers? It provides setting up of a consumer grievance redressal mechanism and an ombudsman. I think that has worked reasonably well. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, there are 15 consumer grievance redressal cells and not one but two ombudsmen, one in Mumbai and one in Nagpur. And we have been, as a regulator, taking a statistical analysis of number of cases being filed with CGRFs, a number of decisions which went in favor of the consumer, number which didn't go in favor of the consumer, appeals filed before the ombudsman. Again, there are some matters, since only a consumer can go to the ombudsman, utilities where they feel a generic problem is there, they directly go to the High Court. So, but we have done analysis of all that. And non-compliance of orders of the CGRF or ombudsman comes to the commission. So, taking a broad view of all these activities, one can say it is working reasonably well. But the flip side of it is, about a year ago, we got a survey done through a sample survey mechanism of what is the level of awareness of the existence of this mechanism, of an internal grievance cell in the utility, followed by a consumer grievance redressal forum, followed by an ombudsman, a three-tier grievance redressal mechanism. When we did this sample survey, lo and behold, the result we received was just about 2% of the electricity consumers are aware of the existence of such a mechanism. So much more needs to be done in terms of awareness. But I will say, yes, it's a good positive step which has happened. Because there is a well laid out grievance redressal mechanism. A second set of provisions in the Act which deal directly with the consumer are things like the standard of supply, standard of performance. These regulations have also been made. The level of compliance of that, there's a little question mark, but it is understandable because we must realize that the electricity sector, even in a state like Maharashtra, which is reasonably well developed, has still not reached a stage where the infrastructure right up to the last mile is completely ready. And taking a country as a whole, we should not forget the aspect that 1/3 of the population of this country still does not have access to electricity. So infrastructure building is still work in progress. So keeping that in mind, to expect quality of supply in terms of reliability, with the correct voltage, with the correct frequency, we still have a long way to go. But in small areas, for example, if I take the metropolis of Mumbai, we very rarely get complaints on quality. Voltage is quite stable. But the moment we go out of Mumbai, we do get complaints, mostly oral. People have not come to a stage where they have started filing petitions on that. Where somebody comes, somebody who is running a small-scale industry, he says that because of a huge voltage fluctuation, my one batch process got completely spoiled. What do I do with it? So there are quality problems. But I think that will take more time because it has to deal with investments, better infrastructure, etc. A second thing on quality which needs to be realized is that the nature of the load itself. That is, a large number of equipments and appliances has come in the last 20 years, which can broadly be called as nonlinear loads. A personal computer is a nonlinear load. A whole lot of equipments and appliances which are used by consumers are now nonlinear. And this, for those who want to go into the electrical engineering aspect of it, creates problems. Creates problems dealing with quality. Because we are now certainly dealing with a common grid for the entire country. Hopefully by December 2014, the southern grid will also connect it to the rest of the country. So one can broadly think of a national grid where there is a large number of suppliers who are connected to the grid, generators who are connected to the grid. Those generators also have people like wind generators with their own synchronous motors. And you also have loads where the nature of the load is undergoing this change, becoming more and more nonlinear, creating...
Instead of now getting into details,
okay,
can you come to the
I'll come.
issue?
So there are quality issues. So when it comes to standard of performance, quality issues, lot more work needs to be done. When it comes to CGR of institutional setup, has been done, but awareness needs to increase. This is what I call as the narrow interpretation of delivery to the consumer. But now coming to the broader interpretation. The broader interpretation, the Act mandated that finally consumers will benefit through multiplicity of players and through competition. The three critical words were: let more generation come, let markets be developed. Now one kind of market has developed. I will talk of two markets. Even though this market which has developed is still in a very, very nascent stage, I will define it as the wholesale market for electricity. The supply side to the wholesale market consists of various generators. Traders also help in the supply side of the wholesale market. And the demand side of the wholesale market are discoms. If we compare the situation that existed 10, 12 years ago with the situation today, certainly many more private generating stations have come. A large number of renewable sources of energy have come. So the number of players in the supply side of the wholesale market has increased. The demand side continues to be the discoms. But today, and the exchanges have developed, there is some kind of a nascent wholesale market. There is a second market called the retail market, where the supply side of the discoms themselves and the demand side of the consumers at large. That has not even been born. Perhaps it is with an attempt to kickstart that market that the Ministry of Power issued a circular saying that 1 megawatt and above should be deemed as open access. It was an attempt to create a market through an executive order. That has not worked. So that market has not even begun. It just doesn't exist. Now, why doesn't it exist? Because what the Act provides is the so-called midwife to create this market is this midwife called open access. But open access is not taking place. Why is open access not taking place? Because that itself is premised on a progressive reduction of cross-subsidy. And the progressive reduction of cross-subsidy is not taking place because we don't think, we brush under the carpet the problem of agricultural pumping. And since that has been kept aside, a point which Dr. Dev also mentioned, progressive reduction of cross-subsidy is not taking place. Because progressive reduction of cross-subsidy is not taking place, open access is not taking place. Because open access is not taking place, the midwife is not available to bring about competition. A few other things I'll just touch upon. One is,
Raja, can we take it in the discussion?
okay, I'll just mention the points and stop. The fact that electricity is in the concurrent list of the Constitution is an issue which is always to be kept in mind. That is, the center and the state's perception on these matters can be different and are often different. The state is more concerned with the equity issues. The center thinks only of the efficiency issues. There is a perpetual conflict on how to trade off between the interest of the investors and the interest of the consumers, and how to think about interest of consumers today and interest of consumers 5 years or 10 years down the line. Consumers normally are able to perceive only their immediate interests, and not about their interest 10 years, which is related to protecting the interest of the investors. There's a perpetual dilemma on where to trade off on this. There is also a problem that in discourses, this kind of not respecting the institutions of the country, that is becoming more and more when people in responsible positions, whether they are politicians, whether they are senior bureaucrats, the need for respecting institutions and let the institutions function without creating suspicion about the performance of institutions. That's a general problem we have. In the last speech, Mr. Singhdev, the Honorable Member of Parliament, made a distinction between governance and democracy. I feel the two are very much interrelated. If governance is based on taking decisions based on the rule of law, democracy also ought to be based on that. But is it really based on that? So you cannot have good governance unless the people in charge of running the democracy also maintain the self-discipline of taking decisions as per the law which the parliament themselves have passed. Another a good point, a positive side is the process after and the regulatory commissions have not developed sufficient human resource capability to analyze previous databases. Most regulators are working through consultants, are yet to develop professional staff of their own to be able to do the analysis in the way it is expected to be done. So that is also certainly a problem. I think I'll stop at this point and, as the chairman suggested, take on the debate later on.